If I'd only see.
Oh, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna hurt you. Really, really bad.
No, you're not.
Suicide Squad was written and directed by David Ayer, who's done some really good films in the past, like Training Day, End of Watch, Fury. Fury's not amazing, not like End of Watch and Training Day amazing, but it's an enjoyable movie. The film stars all these people. Movie's about 2 hours long, 2 hours and 3 minutes to be precise. Produced by DC Entertainment, released by Warner Brothers Pictures. The whole plot of this movie really revolves around a government agent named Amanda Waller who comes to government officials and tells them, hey, there's a bunch of metahumans on this planet. We don't need any of them to end up like Superman. If any of them end up like Superman and really want to destroy the world, we need a group of people who can combat him and take him down. That group being the Suicide Squad, fighting a giant beam in the sky. My first thought was, Skynet went live? That's basically the overview of this movie. In this movie, this is one DC really needed to be good, but you read articles now that have come out now after the smattering of negative reviews. This movie has a 40 on Metacritic, and it's lower on Rotten Tomatoes than Batman v Superman. That's just bad. But you read a bunch of articles how like Warner Brothers was just like, oh, better late than never with this movie, and how they were like they only gave David Ayer 6 weeks to write the script. I don't even think they had him do multiple versions of the script. And it was because they didn't want to push back the release date. They're like, this is when we said it was coming out, this is when it's coming out. But hold on. That whole logic makes no sense because didn't they push back Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince from November of '08 to July of '09? And you hear that they were like editing multiple versions. David Ayer was editing his more like darker and grittier version, while Warner Brothers had brought in their own editor to edit their version, which involved more characters and more action. And that honestly, that stuff happens, and the movie's bound to be a mess. And quite frankly, this movie is a mess. I mean, the movie's not awful, but it's not good. It's fine. You know, it's just a movie that's there. The entire thing just really feels like a cliched action movie. Now, there were some things to like about this movie. For instance, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I thought that was a perfect casting from the moment it happened. I think this might be her best performance to date, aside from The Wolf of Wall Street. She really stepped out of her comfort zone for this role that she was playing. She was playing Harley Quinn in the movie. Will Smith actually did not annoy me in this movie. He came close, but he didn't annoy me. I was actually happy. And there's more humor in this movie than there were compared to the previous DCEU movies, like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. This movie has a lighter tone. It is a dark movie. I mean, it's kind of a conflicting tone, but at the same time, you do get a more humorous movie, especially from Will Smith. He tries to really bump up the jokes. I thought that's what the DCEU needs. They need to have more humor like that. Doesn't necessarily make for a fun movie. I didn't think the movie was like that fun, but it was definitely a breath of fresh air that I was actually laughing in a couple of parts. And I did like the soundtrack to this movie. This has a kickin' soundtrack. I mean, I think that was one of the big selling points of the trailers. This movie really does have a good soundtrack, and all the songs, I was just like, I love all these songs, so I'll give the movie that. The rest of the film really just kind of falls flat. For instance, the character development in this film is very thin. You get all these characters, all their pasts are like presented in flashbacks. The movie really focuses on Deadshot and Harley Quinn, and there's some scenes of the Joker. The Joker was really disappointing too, because he was only in about 8 minutes of the film, and he was actually one of the selling points of the trailers as well, and I really didn't like Jared Leto as the Joker. I knew he wasn't going to be as good as Heath Ledger. I thought he was going to be better than Jack Nicholson, and I didn't think he was. It was sad. But I mean, you really don't get to explore all the characters like Katana. She just comes in, she's just there. And she does jack shit. And going back to Jared Leto as the Joker, I don't know what he was going for in his performance. I felt like I was watching Johnny Depp. It was like a drunk Johnny Depp. And it was just the characterization of the Joker and all the scenes with him. There's some weird imagery scenes with him. I didn't like his laugh. Like, why does he sound like a rubber duck? The Joker didn't do anything memorable. There was no, like, healing power of laughter scene. There wasn't this cool shit.
One reason why I shouldn't have my boy here pull your head off.
How about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. Ta-da! It's gone.
This Joker didn't do anything memorable like that. There's this weird scene with him and Harley Quinn that I really didn't get. If that was to explain how Harley Quinn, got... There's some feature on her that, stands out. If that's to explain that, I really didn't get the whole point of that. Joker in this movie just kind of shows up to wreak havoc, and that's it. He's not menacing. He's not the Joker that I was expecting. I wanted a, sadistic but funny Joker in, that sadistic kind of dark humor way. Kind of like Heath Ledger's was. Not replicating Heath Ledger, but, that's what I wanted, and I didn't get it. And the visuals in this movie suck! They're, like I said, there's a giant beam in this movie. That looks awful. Killer Croc, I don't know, why did it look like he had prosthetics, but why did it look like he had body paint on? It just didn't look good. The worst part was Enchantress. I cannot believe that they went with that. And if I decide to do a spoiler review for this movie, I'll talk about it more there. I'll just say the CGI looks like shit. And Enchantress looked like shit. It did not look good at all. And you know what sucks? I was actually enjoying this movie for the first half hour. The first half hour of this movie was good, and then you're dropped into the second act of the movie. The second act of the movie is where it all falls apart, because it drops them right into the middle of the big situation that they're in, that they really have to combat, and it's just a giant, big action scene for the rest of the movie, and it's just generic action. It's boring. I just couldn't get into it. It was like, yeah, been there, done that. It's just one of those movies where the action scenes were just generic and you couldn't really get into it. It was just a more all the same. You've seen all these action scenes before. Not to mention they're choppily edited. A lot of weird camera angles and flash cuts in these action scenes, and it's just bad. The editing was just it wasn't there. It wasn't good. Honestly, guys, this whole movie is just a bunch of nonsense. It's the same things. The things that were bad about Batman v Superman are only heightened in this movie. Just like how the bad things about Man of Steel were heightened in Batman v Superman. And I mean, this movie makes no sense, and it doesn't make... I'm not saying it doesn't make any sense as to it was confusing, I didn't understand it. No, it doesn't make sense to the point where you have to ask yourself questions as to why is this happening? Or, okay, that happened, so shouldn't this actually happen instead of having that happening? For instance, in Batman v Superman, it's like they kind of hint at why Batman kills, because Robin was killed presumably by the Joker. So if that's the case, if Batman kills because Robin was killed by the Joker, why hasn't Batman killed the Joker? This film completely undoes that, and it's like, it doesn't make any sense either. See, when you're asking yourself questions like that, that means you don't have a good, coherent movie. Guys, Suicide Squad was a massive disappointment. There were some things to like, but a lot of things not to like. I just don't know what to say about the DCEU. I don't have any expectations or high hopes for this thing anymore. If Wonder Woman's bad, then be it. If Justice League is bad, reboot the entire damn thing. So what did you guys think of Suicide Squad? We want to know. Drop us a comment in the comment section below. You can find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and go insane with
the bad guys. I thought my jokes were bad.